Quickly, before we start this episode, if you've enjoyed or found value in this podcast, please make sure that you subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We want to be able to keep bringing you these stories and perspectives on building your business, health, and mindset, and your support goes a long way to making that a reality. Thank you to everyone who supported us thus far, and we want to extend that support to you with another podcast exclusive discount at BC locally owned small business, The Supplement House. And thank you again for your support, and enjoy this episode. And welcome back to another episode of the House Talks podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Beau Bokan, here today. Beau is the lead singer of Blessthefall, the founder of media production company Golden Hearts Media, and the clothing brand Golden Hearts Limited. Make sure to check Beau out at Beau Bokan, as well as Golden Hearts Media and Golden Hearts Limited on Instagram, as well as Beau Knows on X, formerly known as Twitter. And make sure to check out his band Blessthefall and enjoy this episode. Can you give us a little context of how you got to know Jazz and Karn?
Yeah, just my daughter plays hockey. I play hockey, so we were always here at the rink at Summit Center, and the shop opened up. We cruised in and got some free smoothies, and that's pretty much all you need to do to wrangle me in is give me some free stuff. And,
I got a story for you, Beau.
Yeah,
I remember, and I think you'll probably refresh your memory a little bit too. So Jazzy, you'll probably remember as well. When we were first setting up, this is before we were open. We were out in the front of the Summit Center. We were putting up our large signs. Like we have our truck backed up. Like we're like hanging it. Like I'm like putting it up and like, Jazz, is it straight? Is it straight? Like he's like, yeah, a little to the left, whatever. And then you see a bunch of guys just coming out of the rink, right? Just with their hockey bags and stuff. And Beau stopped.
Oh yeah, I remember this now. Yeah, the only guy that stopped.
Yeah, the only guy that stopped. And he's just like, are you guys gonna make smoothies? And I was like, yeah, we are actually. He's like, that's dope. Otherwise, he's like, normally I go all the way to Booster.
Yeah, dude, I remember that.
Yeah, he's like, I'll check you guys when you guys open. And we're like, oh, we'll be open around this time. He's like, okay, I'll be back. 2 weeks later, we open. He's back. Yeah. And no, since then, honestly, like, Beau, I feel like you were there like almost every other day.
Yeah.
You'd always stop by. Yeah.
It's so funny because I was like, yeah, I don't have to drive 10 minutes away now. I can just come. It was just such a genius idea. I'm like, this is amazing. Why didn't someone do this sooner? Like, you come out of the rink, you want something healthy after a game or practice or whatever, and it's like cruising, and it just made sense. So yeah, I was pretty stoked on that.
And then honestly, just became friends.
Because we play hockey too. He plays hockey. Shoot the shit about hockey half the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, hockey guys tend to flock together, eh?
Yeah, always. Yeah.
And have you played hockey since a little kid? I know you were from California as well. Was that something that you did as a kid, or?
Yeah, I started late. I started at 13 years old, which seems insane because all the kids out here seem to start at like 2.
Seriously.
Before they can walk, they got hockey sticks in their hand, and that's just a culture with Canada. So, growing up in LA, you didn't really talk about hockey. You didn't really like see hockey around. It was basketball, football, soccer, stuff like that. So I played basketball, a little bit of baseball, and then a couple kids from the neighborhood were like, oh, we're playing hockey. And I'm like, in the parking lot of like this mechanic shop, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, what is it? They're like, oh, just come hang out. It was like ball hockey, right? And I'm like, this is so fun, and then it was like, then you buy rollerblades so you can cruise around, and then you find out, and then you start watching hockey, and I'm like, and then you get to the ice rink and skate for your first time. And I remember my dad used to take my little sister ice skating, and he's like, do you want to come ice skating? I'm like, yeah, that sounds fun. And I would rent like the figure skates, right? That's all they had at the time. And then I would see kids in like hockey skates. I'm like, what are those skates doing? Those are hockey skates. So then started skating in hockey skates. By the time I was like 12 or 13, my best friend was like, hey, we should try out for a hockey team. I'm like, I don't think I'm ready for that. Like, what do you mean? And he's like, no, like we can do it, And so I went to tryouts, and yeah, I was 13 years old, first year Pee Wee. So I made the Pee Wee C team. It's kind of like the house team, I guess they call it here. Back then it was like Pee Wee Bantam, midget, whatever. So it was Pee Wee C. And then I skated all summer, just practicing. And then the next year I made the Bantam B team, and then Bantam AA, and then midget AA, and then 2 years of midget AAA. So it was like, I went like this every year. And I wish I would have started sooner. I feel like I would have, maybe, I don't know, made it a little bit further. I don't know.
No, totally Mighty Duck vibes, like the.
Oh, dude, it was so one of the guys in the neighborhood. Funny story. He was in the Mighty Ducks too. He's one of the kids. Remember when they all
Was he on like the team, like the
roller hockey
based team?
No, he was on the roller hockey.
Oh, when they did the scene, yeah.
He was one of the guys in our neighborhood, and he would literally get kids together to go play hockey. Like it was just like the movie. It's so weird. Yeah. So I think that's where they got the idea. I don't know, but he would, he would get all the neighborhood kids together. And I lived in like a predominantly Mexican neighborhood and stuff. So those kids had no idea. Like no one was watching hockey except for this one guy's like, you guys got to come play this sport. You know, come on, let's go to the parking lot and play hockey. So yeah, he was actually in the, yeah, his name was Noah something or other. I can't remember his last.
Actually, because that's when they introduced the number 2. So that's when they introduced the knuckle puck.
The knuckle puck?
The knuckle puck originated from
came
there.
out. Yeah. So funny.
Goldberg was a legend.
Yeah.
That's why I became a goalie.
Yeah, he was like, I think that movie was massive for, kids in areas that didn't know anything about hockey.
Especially California, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was like, and then roller hockey became massive. And they were doing pro beach roller hockey. They would set up a rink down at the beach in Huntington Beach, and they had pro games all summer. And so it was like guys that maybe played sort of like AHL or like some NHLers would play, or like, college guys, and they would have a whole league the whole summer, and they'd play right out on the beach. They would build a rink with stands and everything.
That is such a vibe.
Huge vibe. Yeah,
I'd love that.
Yeah, I think it's kind of gimmicky, but I think behind the net was like kind of like a ramp. So they would like roll up and then like come rolling down and stuff. Yeah, it wasn't like huge, but it was like a little bit of a ramp back there. So they were trying to make it kind of like a show. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So yeah.
Dude, that's pretty crazy. And was there a reason why you stuck with it? Because as you said, like you started late, like 13 years old, is practically retired at that point in the hockey career. Exactly. Is there a reason why you stuck with that out a little bit more than like basketball, baseball, football, all the traditional ones in Cali?
Yeah, I think probably a couple of reasons. Like I had asthma and I had like really bad allergies. And so when I played those sports, I ran track and stuff, I was like wheezing and like sneezing. And then all of a sudden now I'm playing hockey, I'm in the rink. Allergies don't matter, like all that stuff kind of went away. And then just getting better every year, I was like obsessed with it. I would just go home and shoot, the ball against the garage all day long. And, I would take private lessons. I was homeschooled, so I would go take private skating lessons during the day when everyone else was going to school. And then I just saw myself just kind of surpassing all the kids I started playing with. And I was like, damn, I'm like, this is okay, like this is really fun. And it was a challenge. And, I'm kind of ADD. So, hockey's a little bit of an ADD sport. You got to learn how to skate, stick handle. You have to have the vision. You're doing all these things at once. And so it was just super fun for me. And like I said, I just saw the advancement every year. And I was like, I just want to keep getting better. So, yeah, it was fun.
And now you're a parent in the spectator side of things, and you have your little daughter running around in hockey too, eh? Yeah, how's that?
It's been so fun. I'm like not trying to be the crazy hockey dad, but it's hard, it's so hard. I'm like online buying her shit all the time. I'm like, hey, I got you this new thing for hockey. She's like, okay. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. Like I didn't ever push anything on her. I would take her public skating every winter. They do the like Christmas kind of skate thing over at the community at Abbey, what is it? The community center or whatever it is, the rec center. So they do like little Christmas skate thing. So I would take her once, every winter, once or twice, nothing crazy. And, I've taken her to a couple Kings games and stuff like that. And, had a little hockey stick at home that she would randomly pick up sometimes and like play with. I'm like, oh, you want to shoot the ball a little bit? And she'd shoot it a little bit. I'm like, okay. And that was it. And then a few years ago, she was 7. She's 9 now. She was like, I was watching TV, watching a Kings game, and she's like, Dad, how come only boys play hockey and basketball? Like she just out of nowhere, like came up to me, and I was like, what? I was like, where did that come from? First of all, then, you don't realize like that they're noticing these things. And I'm like, that's not true. I put on YouTube, I put on female like highlights of like college girls and like the pro girls or whatever, and like have them sniping and celebrating. Canada, USA, exactly. Them checking each other and like, and their ponytails are flying and stuff. And she's like, oh, I want to do that. And I was like, let's go. We got in the car. I went straight to the freaking hockey shop, bought her like,
Oh, you're like, yeah, that's what I do. Hockey.
I literally was like, do you want to play hockey? Like, let's go. So it was, you know, fortuitous that she made that sort of decision, and you know, I didn't try to make her do anything or she didn't want to do, and she just was curious and she said, I want to do that. I was like, let's go. Got all our stuff, put her in hockey lessons immediately, or skating lessons. Yeah. And then right after that, there was a learn to play, and it was a free week of learn how to play hockey for girls. And she did it and loved it. And the coach was like, is she going to sign up for the team? I'm like, I don't know. Like, she's just learning how to skate. Like, she can barely skate out there. He goes, no, she's fine. She'll be fine. I'm like, okay, like, sure. So she started with the girls, and yeah, she was 7 years old. So she played U9, I think, like, or something like that. So she did really well, and we would come to Stick and Puck all the time. You know, you've seen us here. We come to Stick and Puck because we homeschool her also. So did the Stick and Puck and just kind of got, not like she was like some superstar, but she got kind of just, you know, a little bit better.
Last year to now, we've seen her play. She's gotten way better.
She just improves every year, and I don't know. She loves it, and she loves a lot of different things. But she's now referring to this as her hockey career, which is hilarious. She goes, well, I got my hockey career, and I was like, oh yeah? is that what we're doing? Okay. So it's just, you know, I moved her over to boys hockey the next year. So she played U9 with the boys. And then this year she tried out and made one of the rep teams at the U11 age. So it was like, and then she broke her collarbone in tryouts. So she missed a couple months. And so now she's like kind of just trying to, I think, make up for lost time, because all the boys got like 2 months extra of experience in games and stuff like that. So she's doing great, but you can tell like she's just trying to like, okay, I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to like pass and you know, keep up with everybody else, and it's pretty rough right now. Like I know it's only like U11, but like these kids, man, like every now and then one kid will just throw the body and get a penalty. I'm like, oh shit, like. Yeah. This is crazy.
My daughter's out there.
Yeah, it's non-contact, but every now and then some kid will just like lay out some other kid, you know, like not even think about it. It's hockey. And so I think she sees that and she's trying to like mentally be like, okay, you know, what do I do? You know, so she's learning how to get the hell out of the way rather than take a hit. She's learning how to like move out of the way. So yeah, it's been so fun to watch her grow. And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
One thing that really stood out to me actually when you're talking about your journey growing up and playing the sport, but also that you said you were homeschooled. I actually did not know that. And then now Rocket's being homeschooled too. Yeah. So she's homeschooled as well. Do you feel like that kind of played an advantage to you of where it came like, hey, I like to do this thing and I'm going to keep doing it because I love it. And no, you know, oftentimes enough, you know, when we're at school, in high school, elementary school, whatever, sometimes it's really easy for kids to kind of follow the wave. Like another kid tell them, oh, you play hockey, you're a girl, you shouldn't be doing that. Getting discouraged, not doing it anymore. So like kind of the homeschool kind of plays like kind of like a big pro.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, that was huge for me. The fact that like literally when kids were at school, I was on the ice, you know, and it helped me kind of catch up, you know? And so I think, you know, her first year that she started playing, you could see it. You could see like by the end of the year, she had just like kind of surpassed a lot of the kids in her skating and her, you know, stick handling, stuff like that. And I don't know if she's going to be homeschooled forever, but, you know.
So you're teaching her?
Me and my wife are teaching her, so we take turns.
How was that experience?
Oh man, it's fun. I hate math, and she hates math too. So both of us are kind of like, ugh. But she's really good at it. Like she's good at math. Yeah. She's just like, she gets a little anxious when it's time to do. She's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do math, and then kills it. And I'm like, dude, you're good at this. Like, what are you worried about? She's like, I just don't like it. I'm like, all right, I don't like it either, but you need it. So
How do you qualify for like a homeschool teacher? Is there things you got to do, like courses?
no, you just so my wife's sister, my sister-in-law, is a homeschool teacher and like coordinator. So she put together the curriculum through this program, and she goes, here's your science, social studies, math, writing, reading, all that stuff, and puts together, like, gives you all the stuff you need. And it's like workbooks and stuff like that, and projects and things like that. And then you make the schedule per week. Like, we make our own schedule. She does it 4 days a week, and we basically give her enough work so that she can finish on time with everybody else, and then have her full summer. In fact, last year she finished early because she kind of flew through it, and she was done like 3 or 4 weeks before all the other kids were done. So so it helps. And then like her cousin did homeschool and now is going to regular school, and she's like 2 years ahead of everybody in her education. She's doing like math. She's like, I did this like a long time ago. Like, why are we doing this? You know, so it helps. You know, I think that it kind of sets you up for success for when you actually have to.
There's no other distractions either, right? You just get your work done and you're free.
Yeah. I mean, Rocket's pretty distracted anyway by lots of stuff. I'll look over and she's like literally looking at the birds, and I'm like, yo,
Pet snake.
dial in. Or the snake. Yeah, our pet snake. She's like, oh, I'm like, come on, like back to work. So it can be, there's easy days where she sits and focuses and she's done in like, honestly, like 2 hours, her whole day's done. And then there's days where it's like, it's kind of rough. You got to like dial her in, make sure you kind of walk over and sit with her. You know, some days she can just do it on her own. I'm like, here's your math. Have at it. Do the 3-4 pages and she'll do it and be done. And
what's kind of the decision there of deciding to homeschool her?
Just because like my wife and her sister were both homeschooled, and same thing, they noticed that when they went to 8th grade or high school or whatever it was, that they were like kind of well advanced past everybody else, and it made it easier. They got really good marks and stuff like that. And so, and the fact that we can spend more time with her is awesome. Is like, you know, a lot of kids, no diss to, you know, regular school parents or whatever, but they're like, here you go, you know, and your kid's gone for the whole day, and you're missing out on so much of their lives, you know what I mean? And people work, I get it, but the fact that we can do it, we're like, I feel very fortunate that we can just spend more time with her, because, you know, in a few years' time, she's gone. You know what I mean? Like, she's like college, and she doesn't want to, you know, have anything to do with you probably.
Yeah, especially you and your wife, both musicians too, right? So you guys always on the go as well, right?
Yeah, our schedule is a little crazier compared to a lot of other people, but
if she's not traveling, you're traveling, or vice versa.
Yeah. But we get to be home. We don't have to go and work 9 to 5 every day, you know, and there's a lot of parents, both parents go to work 9 to 5. So you have to do it. So we're pretty lucky. Yeah.
As far as being a musician, so when did you start getting into that as a kid?
Yeah, how did the whole music thing start? Honestly, I thought Beau was gonna bring it up during the whole hockey thing.
But no, I was waiting for that too.
Yeah, but then I was like, hey, hockey?
Yeah.
Homeschool teacher.
Homeschool. And like, wait, where did the music come? Yeah. Like, how did that come into play?
It's funny. Like, I have always been into music a certain amount. Like, I've loved Michael Jackson growing up. I remember I used to, as a little kid, I remember dancing in front of the TV, like in front of the mirror, trying to do like Michael Jackson moves. And then my mom would be like, "Oh, you should do this." I'm like, no. Like, I don't want to. I'm too shy. I like was pretty shy as a kid, but when I was by myself or with like my close friends, I was like a huge ham, and I would like sing and dance and make jokes or whatever. And then the second there's other people around, I'm like, no. So yeah, just always been into music. And then I remember going to see Blink-182 in like 1997. It was like my first concert ever. And I was like hooked, like just the crowd energy, and people were crowd surfing, and I jumped off the stage. It was my first show ever. And I saw people do it. I'm like, I'm gonna do that. Jumped off the stage, crowd surfed. Had school the next day, and I remember I was like a freshman, and I was like, all I could think about all day was the concert. Like, I'd be like sitting in class, teachers talking, and I'm like, what just happened last night? Like, that was spiritual. Like, I want to I want to do that someday, but I can't play instruments. I think maybe I can learn how to sing. I was like, that's my only hope. So from that day forward, I was always trying to get my friends to start a band with me, and they're like, what can you do? I'm like, I could try to sing. Like, I don't know, I'll figure it out, you know? And so finally one day my buddies were like, okay, let's get together. You know, we got a guitar player, a bass player, drummer. And I was so bad. They were like, dude, you can't sing. Like, what do you, like, this is bad. Like, maybe you should try something else. I'm like, no, like, I can do it. I'll figure it out. So went to singing lessons, you know. I would try to imitate all my favorite bands. I think that helped me become a better singer. It's just singing in the car, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. And so, yeah, and then finally our band at the time, we put together a couple demos and sent those out and got a record label was interested in us. And I'm like,
How old were you guys when you started?
Yeah, so that was later. Like, it was probably when I started the first band, I was probably like 20 or something like that. And then it went years of like being shitty, like being really bad, and like, you know, like having different band members come in and out, and it was a grind. And like I said, like I just wasn't great at it, and so I had to just suck until finally I was probably 24 or something like that, 24, when our band was like, when I finally got good enough to actually like sound like I could sing, you know what I mean? I was like, and then we got signed to like a little like a punk rock label kind of thing, and then started touring. And but it was a grind. It was like you were in a van and you didn't really make money. Like you get paid a couple $100, and that was enough for gas to get to the next point. And so then after that tour, I would come home. I lived with all my band members. We all got an apartment together. There's 5 dudes in like a 2-bedroom apartment. You know what I mean? Like, and we'd come home and I would work construction. I would work in bars. Like I was like bar backing or like bussing tables. Had all these different jobs. You know, I would get fired from them because I was just like, this sucks. And yeah, and then finally like, so finally our band, just from struggling so much, we're like, we realized like, okay, this isn't going to work out. Like we all have to kind of get real jobs. Let's like move past this. And at the time, we had a new roommate come in, and she worked for a record label that, Blessthefall, like the band that I'm in now. Yeah. They were on this record label, and she was like, dude, they need a singer. And I'm like, well, I have my other band, you know, but I could see the band was kind of falling apart, but I was still trying to make it work. Yeah. So she was trying to get me to try out for them. And I'm like, oh, you know, like, you know, it'd be like having a beer league team. You could see the wheels falling off, and another beer league team's trying to poach you, and you're like, but wait, like our team might work out. And you, in your head, you're like,
you know, you guys got signed. At some points, you're like, oh, there's some hope.
Exactly.
And you guys have been grinding together for the last few years too.
For sure.
Beyond the boys.
Yeah. And they were close friends of mine, and I think that was a major thing. I have you know, huge loyalty to the people that are close to me, and I'm like, I didn't want to just ditch them. So I was trying to make it work. I think we did one last tour, and it was like brutal. And so I was like, hey, like I'll try out for this band, you know, do they still need a singer? And she was like, I think they might have found someone. And I'm like, okay, whatever, it's all good. I'm just going to go work somewhere, you know? And then she was like, hey, like it didn't work out with this singer. Do you still want to try out? I'm like, sure. So they flew me to Arizona. My band's from Phoenix. So I landed in Phoenix, went straight to like the rehearsal studio. I had learned a few of their songs, so sang a few of their songs with them. And then they sent me like a demo, and I wrote I was like, oh, I have a chorus I wrote for this. Like I can sing it for you guys, whatever, like let's play it. And they were like, they like loved it. And so, yeah, the guitar player goes, dude, you want to do this? I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. Like, yeah, let's do it. And they were signed, and they had a lot of buzz already. So I joined the band, and
when was this roughly?
2008. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, 2008.
So the whole like the musical journey, like you, I mean, That was like a 7-year journey.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's it's all a blur. But like now, when you're like trying to piece everything
What
together,
made you keep going for that long? Like, of course, I understand you love the music aspect of it, but I feel like a lot of people, like, even with all due respect to your old band, like, some of them kind of stopped doing it because they got discouraged, right? But you kept going. Like, what were the factors there?
Oh man, I think it was just I didn't want to work some shitty job. I didn't really I wasn't good at anything else at the time. I was like,
Hockey career didn't work out.
Hockey didn't work out, and it was kind of like right after hockey that I was like, okay, I gotta go try the music thing now, But yeah, I think just believing in yourself, and like I said, like my friends told me I sucked. They were like, "You're not good. Like, why are you trying to do this?"
Especially at the beginning, right?
Oh, dude, and they were like my good friends. So they're just, your best friends are the most honest with you. They're gonna tell you what's up.
They want the best for you too.
They
right?
want the best for you. They're like, dude, this might not be it, And I'm like, and even on stage, I was so bad on stage. Like when we started playing shows, I didn't know what to do. I would face the other way. I couldn't face the crowd. I was so nervous. And I'm like, yeah, it's like, why would I want to do this? I'm so nervous. I'm bad at it. But I felt like I could, like with hockey, I could grind and work hard, and eventually I could probably figure this out, So, yeah, I took that same sort of work ethic of yeah, I suck now, but if you work hard enough at something, you eventually can do it. You believe in yourself, and I just believed I'm gonna fucking figure out how to do this. I'm gonna be good on stage one day. I don't know how. I'm just gonna keep sucking, and then one day I'll find out all the shit that you shouldn't do, and then I just won't do that. Yeah,
enough. That works.
Yeah, you literally go on stage. I'm like, okay, don't do that anymore. I did. You know what I mean? Stop. Facing the other way. Stop turning your back to the crowd. Stop. I would watch videos of me and cringe. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? Okay, don't do that anymore. And I think that can apply to anything. Is if you watch footage of yourself playing hockey, you're like, why did I fucking just get rid of the puck there? Why did I just ice it? I had so much room. Why did I throw a pizza up the middle? There's no reason to do that. I could have went off the boards. I would do that with me playing. It was hard to watch, and it was hard. It was hard to watch, but
interesting with the singing too, because honestly, I always thought either you could sing or you couldn't. That was my perception, right?
Yeah. Try singing, but he's just like, shut up, man. Yeah. I'm not gonna sing anymore unless I'm drunk,
I just yell. So.
And it's funny because one of my friends, Chris, who recorded my first band's first 2 songs, he is a huge reason why I I went to a couple vocal lessons, and that definitely helped, but he grinded me, dude. We would be in the booth and he'd be like, sing it again, try it again, that sucks, do it again, no, like this, do it like this, do it like this. And he was a producer, right? And I remember being in the booth for hours and hours, and I'm like, dude, what are we doing? And then eventually something clicked, and I'm like, oh, that sounded good. He's like, do it just like that, do it again, and we were in there for days just recording freaking 2 songs. And so I think I give him a lot of credit for just pushing me and putting me outside of my comfort zone and helping me kind of find my voice. Yeah, that was huge.
It's kind of an expander for you.
It's like a boot camp. Yeah. It was a boot camp, man. It was yeah.
If you really want to be good at something, you need someone to kind of whip you in check and be like, hey, I know you're better than that.
You got to get out of your comfort zone for certain things.
Yeah, for sure. And so he had a ton to do with it. And then just trying vocal lessons and singing in the car, and it was a grind. It wasn't like I woke up and I could sing and I was like, I'm gonna be a singer. I'm really good at it.
When you joined your new band and they already had a buzz going, like you were saying, and they were probably already really good at what they do. So you're like, hey, I gotta step it up every single night.
How was that transition from struggling and going to a band that's already?
It was a snap of a finger,
Yeah, well, same. I carried on the work ethic for sure, and I feel like everything that I did in life, or with hockey for my previous band, had led up to me being in this band, who is now had a buzz, and there was people in the crowd all of a sudden. Before there was I'm not playing in front of many people 100, 200 at the most kind of thing. You know what I mean? And like, I feel like all that kind of prepared me for being in this band and being ready to go and having the work ethic and the right sort of mental, headspace for like, just working hard at it. And, I remember we did like 5 little shows when I first joined. We put a song out. People like really liked it. I was like, oh shit, okay, this is crazy. Because usually when you're like coming in for another singer, everyone's kind of judging you and stuff. And it got a great reception. I was like, okay, cool, because their fan base is great. And we did like 5 little shows in California, Utah, Phoenix. I can't remember where else. And all of a sudden, it was my first time. Like I remember the first show was in Bakersfield. And Bakersfield, I don't know if you've ever heard of Bakersfield. It's
they
like
have an AHL team.
Yeah, they have an AHL. Yeah, that's pretty much all they have. Sorry, Bakersfield. But we played in this place called Jerry's Pizza. That was like kind of this like famous little place for like small punk rock shows. So it's underground, and you could probably pack 300 kids in that room, and it's like in a little basement. But it was my first show in front of that many people, with people knowing your music. And I remember just like going off, and like I felt like I was like, this is what I've been waiting for. Like I have the crowd now that's listening. I have the crowd that's paying attention. I have their energy. Like the band is all fucking killing it. They're all good at what they do. They're all crushing it. And I remember like the last note, we were like, thanks, good night, whatever. And we went to this little side room and we all like hugged. I remember just being like, dude, this is crazy. Like, I know it wasn't like that big of a show, but for me, it felt like a huge step. And like, I'm like, this is what I've been working for. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I've been dreaming about. Even though it was like a small basement show, it was like, as big as this room, but packed. You couldn't move.
It was your Blink 182 moment.
That was my Blink 182 moment. Seeing the fans jump off the stage all of a sudden, singing the songs, and I'm like, this is what I wanted. Yeah. And so from there, it was kind of like, woo. And we played. I think the last show was an Arizona show. There was like 700 people, and that was the biggest crowd at the time I think I ever played in front of. Same thing. I'm like, this is it. I was like, built for this, like I jumped off the balcony. Like security chased me out. They wanted to like arrest me and stuff. I hid in our van. Like I hid like in the back of the van. They're like, where's that singer at? And I was like, this is it. Here we go. And all the boys were like, I felt like I knew them. It was like we just connected, and we were from different walks of life and everything, but we all had one goal in mind. And I felt like when you get everyone together for that one goal, just like a hockey team, like anything's possible. So yeah, we've had a lot of ups and downs with the band, and it's been a wild ride since then. Like 08, 2008. So how someone do the math?
15 years?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Do you notice you were talking about that feeling you had at the Blink 182 concert, and then the next day being almost obsessed with that experience? Mm-hmm. Is that a similar experience that you have on stage? Is it a different one for you? And is that something you still have in every concert that you're doing now? Yeah, I mean, not every single show, because you're gonna have your bad games, So, but no, most, I'd say a good amount. Especially now, like, we took a 4-year hiatus, and then came back and did a tour this last August. And I felt it was like I was recharged. And before I went on stage for that show, I think I was telling you guys about it. Like, the first one was in Anaheim. So it was like 1,300 people, sold out way in advance. Like, we probably could have played 2 nights there, but we were just like, let's just do the one, like, get it over with. But before I went on stage, it had been 4 years. I was like holding the mic, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Yeah. Am I going to remember what to do? Like, what do I say between the songs? Like, I had done it for so many years, and I didn't have to think about it. Now all of a sudden I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, oh shit, and then, but you step out there and the crowd is like just electric, and you're just like,
did you feel like you were at home again, like ready to go?
It felt like you were back at home, and you could see their faces and people singing and smiling, and just enjoying the show. And then, you know, my daughter's watching and my wife's there, and I'm just like, you know what I mean? Like, our old manager, who's a really good friend of mine, he doesn't work with us anymore, but he's there with his daughter, and like friends and family are watching. And yeah, Rocket was like, I would look over at her and she was like bouncing, and I'm like, oh my God. And she was just jumping. She didn't know why. She was like smiling and jumping, and it like that energized. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Because the last time she had seen us play, she was like 4 years old. She doesn't remember. So as far as she knows, I'm like hockey dad, you know? And all of a sudden she's like, what is going on? You know, like you can see the crowd. She's like, what?
Who is this guy?
Yeah. And we have this little high five thing we do. And so I came over to her and we did it. Yeah, we did like 3, and then we like salute.
Do you guys have footage of that? You have footage of that?
I have a video.
That's
I have
dope.
a video of it. And yeah, so it was all very surreal. I remember just like when it was over, like the night was over, I was like, whoa, what just happened? I was trying to like be in the moment on stage, but it was just, the songs were going, and next thing you know, it was over. I was like, oh shit, okay, that was like a roller coaster. So, but we settled in for the tour. And, you know, back to your question of like, you know, feeling the same way I did. Yeah, that tour specifically, like every night, it felt like, okay, I used to be that kid in the crowd, and now I'm seeing them, you know, singing, wanting to come on stage, high-fiving, and then hopefully I'm sending everyone home with that same feeling that I had at my first concert, you know?
Being a professional athlete, musician, anything like that, that's really hard, because each and every night, you gotta turn it on. You gotta bring it, right? Because just like you said, there's people paying to watch you, and that young kid that you got inspired, and now you're the one performing, and who knows, maybe there might be another one in the crowd, right? That you might be able to do the same thing for.
Yeah, and I know, like, I mean, I remember when Kobe was on the Lakers and he was like injured. He had like everything on his body. Remember, he used to ice. He had his knees iced, his arm, his shoulder. He had like ice packs all over his body, and I remember him being like, people are coming to see me play. Like, I'm not going to just sit out. Like, I'm not going to, you know, and so when I have those nights where like, it starts feeling like a grind, when you're like, oh shit, we've done like 5 shows in a row, you know, and you're driving all over the country, and you might be sick, and your voice is a little hoarse, and you know what I mean? Like your body is a little sore. It's like, there's someone in that crowd, it could be like, could change their lives. It could, you know, you never know. And so you got to go and you got to bring it.
Bring the A game. Because yeah, that might be that somebody in that crowd's first concert or only concert they go to for quite a while.
For sure.
And like, that's great. Have you met or had any fan interactions where you're like, oh my gosh, that was me like 15, 20 years ago or something like that?
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time, where you know, someone will grab, like, see me like after the show walking around or whatever else, and yeah, they'll be like, can I get a picture? And oh man, you guys were my first concert ever, and I was 13, you know, whatever. And I'm like, just reminds me of me being whatever, 14 years old, going to my first show. And now every time I go see Blink-182, I get that nostalgic feeling, and I'm like, this is my band forever. You know what I mean? Like, this is them. So
have you met them both?
I've met Travis.
That's pretty cool.
Briefly. We have a lot of mutual friends, but I met him for a bit and got to like kind of chat with him a little bit. But I haven't really met Mark or Tom, but I know like Tom's manager a bit, and so yeah, I'm sure like we'll cross paths, and you know,
you know one of them, because like you were saying, you were at their show when you were a teenager, right? So that's really cool how now you're within the same network of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and no, that's a crazy thing, is that like I have friends that now, you know, my buddy like will cook for Travis and stuff, like he's like a vegan chef or whatever, and I had friends that used to like tour with him and stuff like that, so we have a lot of connections, you know. I'm like, if I run into them, I want it to be like organically. I would love to just like have a few minutes, but I don't want to be like the fan that's like, oh man, I love you. It's like, I'd rather like hopefully someday be able to chat with them, let them know how much they affected and literally like turn my life from one way to another. And I use that first concert as like motivation to, you know, keep going with whatever I'm doing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Music really became your outlet then, especially growing up?
Totally.
Because the neighborhood you live in, I know you talked about it, it was a little bit of a rougher neighborhood.
Yeah, I grew up in East LA. It was like, you know, 98% Hispanic neighborhood, lots of gangs, lots of, you know, hood rat shit going on, which I love to be involved in. I was like, I want to be a tagger and spray paint things, you know? I'm like, so yeah, my best friend that lived across the street, he was like definitely involved in some of that stuff. So I would hang out with him and, you know, get caught up in some stuff, you know, and luckily had a, you know, good family upbringing, like, and then other friends who kind of like pulled me away from that. Sports helped keep me out of trouble. Hockey definitely helped keep me on the straight and narrow, you know. You get those tough coaches that teach you the life lessons that you need, you know. And so, like my midget AAA coach, the last one I had, was a fucking hard ass. He couldn't coach today, like in today's climate.
I've had some coaches like that too. No chance they'll be over it. No. But those coaches actually like mended you better, man. You actually had good lessons out of that.
100%. I still keep in touch with him, and I mean, he made people quit hockey, but he made me keep going, and I needed that, you know. And I tell him that too. I'm like, yo, man, like you being a hard ass made me just developed my work ethic and my mentality moving forward with everything that I do in life.
It spilled over into music as well.
Spilled over into music, 100%. And just like, he would be like, you know, nothing's given in life. You got to take it. You got to take what you want. You know what I mean? Like, no one's going to give you shit, you know? And I remember like that being like, okay, don't expect handouts. You know what I mean? Don't expect things to fall into your lap. Go out and work for it and stuff. So, yeah. He was a maniac. He was a maniac, but definitely like helped shape me and mold me. Yeah.
We'll talk about your tour a little bit here. How many shows you guys did in how many days?
Ooh, I gotta look that up. It's probably like 25 shows in like 30 days or something.
Holy
so
smokes.
Yeah.
Gosh, talk about bringing it
Like my
day
guitar player, he's like, well, you don't need a day off. I'm like, fuck you. Like, come on, man. Like, I gotta sing, you know? So, yeah. We
How
like
is that lifestyle?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, the way when I first joined the band, it was nonstop. It was nonstop. I would come home for 2 weeks, be back on the road. Come home for a week, be back on the road. And we were going all over the world. I've been to Europe like fucking 13 times, you know, like been Australia, Southeast Asia, all the North America, countless, like an infinite number of times. Like I can't even, like I gotta sit there and like, it'll probably blow my mind. But yeah, we were always on the road, and it got pretty intense, you know, like just the grind, you know, mentally can kind of wear you down, and not being home and you not having anything permanent, you know what I mean? So I think we needed our time off when we finally took our little hiatus. Everyone was like a little burnt out, and we're like, yo, like we don't know. At first we really didn't know if the band was going to keep going. And then kind of low key, my guitar player was like, yeah, I've been writing some songs. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like send me something, you know, like send me something, let me hear. And so we're kind of just letting it happen naturally and on our own time now that like the main writer is my buddy Eric, and he is a really sick real estate agent in Phoenix. So he's crushing it. Like he doesn't need to be in music, you know, and like me doing like the video stuff and other things, like I don't necessarily need to do it, but we missed it. You know, we were gone for so long until we actually missed it. And I think that was important for us, is to have that fire again and be like, all right, let's go.
So off this tour, you said you have another tour coming up here soon too, right?
Yeah, we're doing some shows. Like we're playing a cruise, like a rock cruise. Yeah, it goes from Miami to the Bahamas. Never done it before.
That's gonna be great. That's gonna be interesting. Eh?
Yeah, so we're doing that, and then we're going to Japan, and then South America, and yeah. So these little stints, I think, are more the vibe of like, all right, let's go for a week, let's go for 2 weeks, and
instead of going for 25 and 30.
Oh, dude, and that was all the time, man. That was all the time. Yeah, we would just like. It was just,
is it hard to stay on top of it during that time too?
Yeah, because then it kind of becomes your job, and it's like now it's a job. Yeah, I don't want it to feel like a job, you know. And there's a producer, and I cannot think of his name right now, but he worked with like Jay-Z and a bunch of artists. Oh my God. Anyway, he said, I recently saw a thing. He said, make make music your hobby. He's like, if you look at it as a hobby and not as your job, then it switches your mental state. And I think that could be said for anything. Like if you guys look at supplement shop as a hobby, it probably feels fun. You know, it's like
that's how we started it.
Yeah,
it was like a passion project, hobby thing, and then it just
That would kind of become like a job some days too.
exactly. It started to become like a main thing, like something that we couldn't we got to put focus on it because it's growing. And it just started growing because we were just having fun every single day, just being there and just, you know,
thinking of ways to market, thinking of ways to get people through the door, but not like, you know, not stressing on it though, right? It's like more fun.
And that's the journey aspect of it too, right? That's what we really enjoy. Like, of course, you know, people coming through our doors, sales is one thing and things like that. But
Meeting people, especially like you, for example, as well.
Yeah, all kinds of different people.
Exactly. Like, you know, whether it's helping people, someone coming in and telling you, they lost 10 pounds because of you. I was never able to lose weight, or I was never able to gain weight, and them thanking you, things like that. I mean, those things you can't put a price on.
Or just like a conversation, getting to know people as well, right?
Exactly. We've met so many wicked people, such as yourself as well. But I mean, and then like you said, thinking of ways to market. Like when we did that video shoot with you, the hockey one. For all those guys listening, check it out on our page. All those wicked videos you see. Beau
Golden Hearts Media.
Yeah, Golden Hearts Media. He produced all those. And
yeah, speaking of media, how did you get into that? Were you always into media, or when you stepped away, that's when you got away?
It was kind of like kind of right before we stepped away from music. I was started getting interested in videography. I would shoot little videos like my niece's birthday, for instance, and I would edit this fun little clip with some music and give it to my sister-in-law, and she was like, "Dude, you did this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know, it was fun. I just wanted to try something." And she's like, "People would pay for this." I remember the day she was like, "People would pay for this." I'm like, "You think so?" Okay, and honestly, like when I first started dipping my toes, I was pretty hesitant because I thought I could never be as good as the professionals that are doing it. Like they've been going to school for this stuff, like I just don't think I can get there.
Was it kind of like starting music all over again?
It was 100% like starting over. I'm like, I don't know the technical side of what I'm doing. I'm literally shooting and editing by emotion and what I mean? What I feel like, I'm capturing these moments and putting the music to it and clipping making the edits flow in a certain way that just make me feel something. I don't know the technical terms of everything I'm doing, you know what I mean? And then later the technical stuff starts coming into play, and I sort of like started reaching out and was like, hey, to companies. I'm like, hey, you guys need any video stuff? And I can, give you a really good price. I'm like, probably for free, because I can't really charge right now. So I remember a company called Minimock hired me. They're like the first people to ever hire me. I did like an about us for their company. Like they paid me like $200 or something. And from there I bought like a new lens, you know what I mean? And then I shot a wedding and they paid me like $300. And from there I bought, a new camera. I upgraded my gear, and I was on YouTube. I'm still on YouTube. Like I'm on YouTube every night watching videos of how to do certain camera tricks, how to expose the lighting properly, how to light something, how to edit something, you know what I mean? Like just all the tips and tricks I've just learned on the internet. And yeah, it's probably saved me like hundreds of thousands of dollars from going to film school and stuff like that. But I just wanted to get better at it, and it was so fun. And when I started getting the better gear and being like, oh, this looks good. Like now this looks a lot better than the stuff I was filming, and, paying for the better software and the plugins and stuff like that. And just building the company. And then, just kind of, every shoot I would raise my price a little bit, And then, even now I was filming for someone and they're like, you should charge us more. I'm like, really? They're like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, like, sure. And I'm realizing like, oh, maybe my prices are a little, too competitive. But yeah, it was a passion, and it was a creative. I think all creatives across the board, you know what I mean, have that same mind of like, I have to be doing something creative. to feel like I'm, you know, living my purpose in life. So, yeah.
I remember, Jazz, the first time we came across Beau's work was
The skate.
the true hockey
Skate.
The
Was,
skate.
that was
Yeah, we
really-
saw that, and then I remember I'm pretty sure you had come in the same day, like later on, like, oh, we see Beau, we gotta ask him about this. You ended up coming in. And you're like, can you do this for us?
Dude, this one.
Yeah, we can do something different, but we're like, yeah, let's do it. And then I'm pretty sure we got
The
it,
coolest
like,
hockey moment we have is shooting this video with you.
oh yeah, I'm keeping that for life. Like, I'm gonna show my kids, my grandkids.
Yeah,
I'm like,
we were in the NHL.
hurt my knees and I just couldn't play for the Canucks. But yeah.
This is our hype video.
That was fun, man. That was a fun shoot. And I noticed like so many hockey videos kind of look like that now. Not saying I had like started anything, but it's like
We'll
if
say
you
it.
look
It
at
both are it.
I'm not gonna lie, Bill. There was one company in particular that after we put that out, like 2 months later or so. Remember we showed you?
Yeah.
They came out with something very, very similar. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. At least we got eyes. I mean, 2 of our videos did go viral, and that felt cool. That was the first time ever going viral, like being a part of something like that.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
But
No, it was a fun shoot. And getting to shoot up in the gym was something that I've been wanting to do.
And I remember being like, it was just so natural. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, like being a creative, like we were up there and we were just kind of free flowing. We kind of had an idea what we wanted to do, but as we were going, like we were just adding this, taking away from that, and it came out so good.
Yeah, and I've noticed that you have to be flexible with this kind of stuff. Like if you're gonna be creative, you can have like you can have your shot lists, you know, like you can have your sort of wish list of things that you want to get. Okay, we want to be on the ice, we want to be in the gym, and then I'll be like, okay, I would love to light it this way or something, right? Like, and then you get up there and I was like, oh, I can't do it this way. Okay, I wanna. Yeah, I was like, okay, I can't shoot it this way. Well, I wanted to like hang a light from something. I'm like, okay, well, that's not gonna work. You pivot and you go, okay, I want to light it this way now. Okay, sweet, and it worked out, right? Like it came out great.
The
So it was
deadlift
like-
video was cool to put the GoPro on the deadlift too, like that. Your idea of
Yeah.
that. See when,
Yeah, I was like, we'll bring the GoPro, see what happens. And then when I looked down, I'm like, oh, you can put this on the barbell, see what. It might be kind of cool.
I'm laughing because during the workout part, I remember Beau's obviously trying to get the best shots, right? And Jazz has like what was it, 3-4 plates or something? So 315 pounds or 405 pounds for reference.
Not dummy weights.
Yeah,
these are,
not
these are
dummy
real weights.
And Jazz is just throwing it up, and the Beau's like, yeah, keep going. Keep going, and Jazz
was
is just throwing
sore
it back
for like
up
a
and down.
week.
And I see this happening, and I know exactly what's happening. Because I know Beau is
I'm
not really in the
not
weight
tuned
room.
into how much
he's
weight's
not
on
tuned
it.
in, and I'm just looking at both of them, and I see Jazz's face shaking.
Just turned red.
Yeah.
I was sore for like a week.
Yeah.
You crushed it.
And then the moment he put it down, I had a crazy laugh attack.
That was the one point for your flies. Too.
Yeah,
You
and
did the fly.
then Karma came and got me. Beau got me. I did like 50 reps. It wasn't as bad as a deadlift. It was just like it was just flies on the cable. Like Joe was like, yeah, keep it going. And then when I was like starting to slow down.
Weight on.
I got off. I was like, I didn't even work out chest today. Oh, it's so sore, but
I had to do that for a gym video once. It was pull-ups.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I'm like, we gotta go to the assisted machine on this one. I can't do
you
it.
gotta bring out your inner David Goggins.
Oh
We
yeah,
have to do another
not
one
doing
soon
that.
here.
Yeah.
We need a dryland one.
It was so fun working with you guys though too. It helps when the client is like having fun and can be flexible and isn't like, you guys were like, I mean, just kind of do what you want to do, and I'm like, all right, like.
I think you have to. You know what I mean? Like even when it comes to
Because it's your vision at the end of the day. You're making the video. We're just there.
We're just
the fillers.
the fillers, the actors,
They have
the
the product, that's it.
stunt dummies, whatever you want to call it, just there, taking up space.
Do you find that all the media work, as you said, like every time there's something new, there's something unique? Do you notice that every piece of content, although it's authentically you, everything's different, or do you have some sort of rhythm that you get in for?
I think with like the real estate videos, there's definitely like a rhythm. There's definitely like a formula, I would say. I still do try to make them pretty kind of fun. Like I still do try to add in a little flair, but you can't really do too much with those. So those are probably the most like box like formulated, like, okay, they want an intro, they want some drone shots, and then they want a walkthrough of the house. It's like, you know what I mean?
Standard in a way,
and
right?
that was another thing, like, not to toot my own horn, but I was like, the way that I shoot those, I remember my buddy being like, after like a few months of having these videos, he's like, dude, I'm starting to see people do the same exact editing process, like the same exact camera tricks kind of thing. Like, I just do like a speed ramp, which I didn't invent at all. I'm sure someone did it before me, but for whatever reason, you know, maybe out here, when I started shooting real estate videos, they weren't as popular. I think they cost more money, so like only people that were doing the baller houses could like pay to have them done. But my buddy was like, I want to shoot every house that we do. Condo, I want a video for every single one. I'm like, all right, cool, like, smart. You know, he's marketing himself, and the way his brand looked is that they were smashing it because they had a video for, like, how can they afford a video for every? They must be killing it, and they were doing great. But so he was like, yeah, I'm starting. He's like, look at this guy, and it was like another like local guy, and I'm like, oh, that looks just like ours. Like, he's like, yeah, he's like, no one was really doing this. Yeah. He's like, I've never seen. You know, that's one of the reasons he used me so much, is because he's like, it was this unique kind of thing I was doing, and now it kind of like caught on, and now it's just standard, you know. So it's like, I don't know, it's fun being like maybe one of the first to do something kind of like that. Not saying I'm like the first, but like maybe for the area.
Yeah. Do you take it as like a compliment almost?
For sure. Yeah. It's awesome. Like, I didn't invent that style, but you know, maybe it feels cool to sort of be like, maybe have influenced some people that saw the video to do it that way. So, and it's pushing, I think in the creative zone, you always want to be pushing each other. So, when I see something that's super dope, I'm like, oh God, I gotta get better. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
Other
like,
people are just like copying your style, and you're like, okay, well, I gotta come up with something new now.
100%. I'm like, all right, we gotta do something else now. Like, what are we gonna do? So yeah, there's a couple times where I got to do some pretty fun stuff with real estate, but yeah, like with you guys, that was I love that, just being able to like light it a cool, fun way and do the smoke and like having all like the LED lights on the
goalpost. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Because I mean, we'd love to go on the ice again and just make ourselves look really good at hockey again. Don't get me wrong, but like we're like, you know, we will change it. We'll do something maybe outdoor this time or something like.
Yeah.
Switch it up.
Yes.
I think it would be cool.
Yeah. We'll switch it up. We'll make it fun. I'll come up with something. Yeah.
But you made a couple music videos too, right?
Yeah, I did some music videos for Snack the Ripper and my wife as well, and her name's Lights, and so I did a couple for her during COVID when, like, you know, you couldn't get a big production team together. She was like, can you film a video for me? I'm like, sure, let's go. Yeah. But that's fun. Like Snack, if no one has ever heard about him, he's awesome. He's kind of a more old school hip hop artist, and you know, the lyrics really matter with him. It's not like a trap beat with like mumbles, and he actually has like some pretty cool, like, fun, clever lyrics, and he's a maniac just like me. Like, we come from the same era, and we just get it, and he loves rock music and stuff too. And so he brings that energy for his music videos, and he just wants to do fun shit. He's like, bro, I want to rent a fucking hovercraft and drive it down the Fraser River. I'm like, fuck yes, let's go. Like, now we're talking. Let's get this. He's like, I found a guy who has a hovercraft, and like, all right, you know. And then, you know, like for one of the videos too, I was like, yo, like, he's like, I want like motorcycle. It'd be sick to have motorcycle guys like jumping over me. I'm like, say less. Like, I'll figure it out. So yeah, the first video we did together is filmed in my buddy's backyard. He's got his parents' backyard, tons of land. We had a broken down car. I bought barrels. My buddy Bav like picked up some barrels for me, showed up, and we lit the barrels on fire. So we had flaming barrels, motorcycle guys jumping. We had like big giant tower, like, you know, construction lights when they like pull up. We rented one of those big floodlights to have, so it just looked insane. And the budget was like not that big. It was like the most you could possibly do. You know, it was a lot of favors. Yeah, that was kind of our first one. Then we had like his Mustang doing donuts in random spots, and yeah, fun shit. So working with someone like that makes it so fun. You just grab your camera and you go, and you just capture stuff as it happens, and it's very cool.
Keeps it as a hobby, as you were saying before.
100%. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, he's been awesome. And we've become good buddies, and he just reached out recently, bro, we're gonna have to do another video. I'm like, let's go. Like, what are we doing this time? Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what we come up with next.
Do some skydiving or something like that out of a
We
plane.
rented a helicopter one time and went up to a mountain. Yeah, we flew up to like a glacier. That was sick. But yeah, skydiving would be cool. Put a GoPro on him, have him rap the song.
That'd be
Yeah.
Maybe cut that because someone might steal it.
Yeah. He'll be the first rapper doing an actual skydive, because most of these rappers like would probably just do green screen or something, but he would actually do it.
Yeah, you can't really fake a real skydive.
No.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
But even speaking on your wife as well, because she's a musician as well, Lights. So that, like, first of all, how did you guys meet, for one? And then the second part, that must be a very creative, cool household going on there.
Too creative sometimes.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, we were both on tour, and before that I had found out about her by the same roommate that introduced me to my band. It was the record label was affiliated with a clothing line called Hurley, so it was like a huge like surf company. Yeah, so Hurley had a stage on Warped Tour, which was like a traveling festival, and so she was like, "Hey, check out this artist. Her name's Lights. She's on the Hurley stage. You might like it. You know what I mean? She's pretty cool." And I remember being like, "Whoa." Like, she's hot. Like, she's hot. Her music's cool, and her vibe, you know what I mean? Just her overall vibe. Like, you know, if you just ever talk to her, it's so like, you just can't, you can't get over it. She's just.
I remember hearing her on the radio, like growing
yeah.
up. Yeah, just because some of her music, that used to come on, like the Beat 94.5 stuff. Like, I wasn't really listening to much. Going to school, mom would have that on. But well, that's really cool. Okay, I got you. Then where'd you guys kind of go from there? Just kind of.
So. Yeah, basically, so I found out about her then, and then I met her at a concert randomly, just like my friend introduced me to her. Cool, nice to meet you. We went our separate ways, and then we were both in Portland, Oregon. I was playing a show, and she was playing like 4 blocks away, and I saw the poster like in the bath. Like I went to like take a piss, and I was like, wait, that's today, and I was like, oh shit. So I got on, I started like messaging people and being like, that knew her. I'm like, yo, like Lights is playing down the street. Like, do you think she could get me in? Like, I go to the show after we play. And then they're like, yeah, I like DM her or whatever. So I DM'd her on Twitter, and then she was like, yeah, I'll put you on the guest list, So we played our show. I showered like fast, ran to her show with a couple of the band dudes, and caught like the last like 5 songs. And then left, and I was like, dude, thank you so much. Like, you were fucking awesome. Like, she sounded amazing. The crowd was great. And I was just like, that was great. And she's like, oh, do you want to like hang out for a minute? Are you still here? I was like, oh, like I could come back. So ran back to her bus. We got donuts and hot chocolate, and then like just chilled on her bus with her band. And basically, we both had Blackberries, so we BBM'd the whole time. For those that don't know, you Gen Zers, it's BlackBerry Messenger is BBM, and it was like you could BBM anyone in the world, and it was free, right? It was like no charge.
Freaking like MSN for your phone.
Yeah.
And those Gen Zers probably don't even know what MSN is.
No, they don't. Yeah. So it was like, yeah,
it was good times.
It was just like a messenger, and we for the rest of that tour, because we were both on tour for pretty much the same amount of time after that. It was probably like another like 3 or 4 weeks, and we just talked every day. And it was like, how's your day going? Oh, good. Or like, man, I was like trying to sound check, and my in-ear monitors are all fucked up, and I'm like, I hate that. So like we could understand what each other were going through on a different level than like say like your significant other worked at a supplement shop. It's like, I get it. We totally understood what each other were going through, and it was something I realized was pretty special. And then I think towards the end of the tour, she was like, "Do you want to hang out?" I'm like, yeah, I'm down. Like, you know, you want to come to Toronto? And I'm like, sure. So she lived in Toronto at the time. I lived in Huntington Beach. So right after that tour, I was like a few days at home, flew to Toronto. We hung out, and we just hit it off, and it was awesome. She's just so easy to be around, and just a great person, full of energy, super creative. Obviously, like, she's got a million projects. It's kind of like me, but like, she's like, I want to DJ, and I want to write a comic book, and I want to do that. And so she does all this stuff, and it's like it pushes me to like follow, you know, my heart and my creative, you know, insight and stuff like that. So
How'd you guys land in Abby here?
oh, her family lives in Mission, and so I moved to Toronto when we got married, and we moved in together, and lived in Toronto for a couple of years, and then realized we were going to have our kid, and her family lived in Mission, and we would come visit for the holidays, and we'd drive to like Whistler or something, and I'm like, where are we? Like, this place is magic. Like, that Sea to Sky Highway, when you're like seeing all the islands and the water, and you're just like, this is incredible. Like, yeah, like, how does this exist? You know, like, you guys live out here? Like, what? And so when we were finding out we were having Rocket, we said, okay, we got to live near family, and we can't be in Toronto. Like, there's no family. Neither of us had family there, and it would have been just hard to raise a kid out there. Yeah. And, you know, I didn't want like nannies watching her, you know? So we just found a place out here, and her family all lives out here and stuff like that. So it works out. Yeah, I love it. Mission's awesome. Like, Mission's such a tiny little like gem, like, tucked away up there, and you know, it's like a little bubble, and it's got like 3 Starbucks. Like, you can't go wrong. So yeah, it's been awesome going from the city to the country and
Well, where did the name Rocket come from? It's dope. It's dope. Yeah, because I even like under I see the jerseys, the hockey jerseys you get for it says just Rocket on the back and stuff like that. I'm like, that's just dope. Yeah. How'd that come about? That's actually it's so unique.
So we had a few names on the list. Kobe was on the list. Yeah, so we had a short list of names that we liked, and one day my wife was playing a concert at the PNE, and it was like the outdoor area, like the amphitheater, and she was on stage, and she was pregnant, and she saw like one of the PNE rides. She's like, oh, that's really cool. There's like a big rocket over there. And it ended up being like a Ferris wheel or something. And then she like later on in the set was like, oh, it's not a rocket at all. Like, that's a Ferris wheel. I feel dumb. And then so on the way home, her sister was in the car, and we were talking about that moment. And she was like, oh, that was so funny when I thought that was a rocket. And then her sister goes, Rocket would be a cool name. And we're like, I don't even know where her headspace was to say that. And we both went like, oh, yeah, that. And we like wrote, we both wrote it down in our list. And then it just pretty much became the top of the list. And we didn't know if Rocket was going to be a boy or a girl. We were surprised, right? We just like let it be a surprise. And we're like, that name works for boy or girl. Actually, it's cooler if it's a girl named Rocket, you know? So
gives her some swagger already, right?
Little swag, yeah, little swag. Her middle name's Wild, so Rocket Wild, and yeah, for her spring team, yeah.
I know Beau was saying he didn't ever want to push Rocket or anything, but he was 100% thinking about her hockey career.
Yo, but hockey, let's go right now.
Yeah, he's like put on hockey like every single day because he thought it was like, hockey player named Rocket. Oh, dude, all over ESPN.
It's easy money. Yeah, her middle name's Wayne. Yeah. Yeah, it was. You're right. Well, it was sort of like
any hockey kid wants their kid. A hockey guy wants their kid to.
Yeah, everyone thinks like that it's her nickname, which is very funny. Like her, like the other parents will always be like, "Oh yeah, the girl they call Rocket." I'm like, "No, that's her name." Yeah. You know, they're like, "Oh, why do you guys call her that?" I'm like, "Well, what's her name?" Yeah.
Why do you call your kid Emily? Yeah. That's her name.
That's her name. And so people are like, oh, okay, like that's crazy. Yeah, in fact, for her spring theme, she wanted her middle name on her jersey. Oh, so it's her when she played in Burnaby, it said Wild on the back, and it was just like kind of a flex. Yeah, everyone was like, what the hell? Okay. So yeah.
And I think I got to tell her when I see her next, I'm like, you got to stick just Rocket on all your jerseys.
Yeah.
You just got to keep it like that.
Yeah. So she was kind of destined to be, fast and...
Name makes sense. Like when I see that girl can play. That girl can play.
Yeah, she moves. Yeah.
I mean, she's got a really good coach behind her too, right?
Yeah,
Mikey?
Coach Mike. Yeah, Coach Mike, next level hockey. Yeah, it's funny because with Mike, did you guys have him on the podcast?
We have. He was our first guest.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Mike, I told him years ago that he needs, I was like, Mike Nolan Hockey Academy or whatever. I was like,
Yeah, he was telling us, you did mention
I
that
go,
too.
bro, you got to do it, dude. Like, and he's like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, dude, you have too much knowledge. Like, even in beer league, you're way too smart for beer league. Like, we'll take a timeout, and he's like, all right, I'm going to win. This is what's going to happen. Like, you win it this way. You're going to come around this way. You're going to set a pick. And I'm like, no one does this in beer league. Like, what do you, you're just making plays up on the fly, you know? And I'm like, you watch him with the puck. I'm like, you're way too smart, you know, to stifle all that knowledge. You need to start something. So
He came and played with us once. Just lit it up.
it's crazy. Yeah. It's like,
Did it look like he was trying? He
no.
Effortless.
Yeah. So when I first met him, we were playing in these like secret drop-ins that we would do like during COVID, and then no one knew at an undisclosed ice rink that would let us come in through the back door.
Out of the country,
And,
all that nonsense.
Oh, somewhere else. I don't know where it was. Anyway, I remember him coming down. He was coming down and he didn't look like he was moving at all. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to poke check this dude. And the next thing you know, it's between my legs and he's C-cutting around me and scoring. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? All right, next time I got this guy. Same thing. He would come. This time he's cutting across the blue and he's turning backwards. And I'm chasing him all over the zone. And he's just like, doesn't look like he's skating, but he's just faster, a little bit faster than you, you know? I'm like, what is going on? Like, he just has like some unique way of moving where he doesn't look like he's moving a lot, but he's just like finding that open ice. And next thing you know, he's either scoring or dishing it to somebody. So I'm really stoked that Rocket is learning from him. And yeah, he's a great coach and runs a really good camp. And it's kind of like destiny meeting Mike, you know? And he's always like, Rocket's going D1. Like, that's it. There's no question about it. He always he always goes, this is bigger than us, man. This is bigger than us. Yeah, he's an amazing coach. And
You might see him right after this too.
oh yeah, he'll be here, I'm sure. Oh yeah, it's RE3. He's probably downstairs. So yeah, but it's pretty cool. I feel like I've known Mike forever. He's like one of those guys, you know. I think it's the way he talks.
You're showing us him that he jumped off the crowd at the jump stage of your.
Oh, he stage dove at my show, yeah.
And because when he came back, he was showing us everything and just telling us all the cool stories and things like that.
Yeah, because he only knew me as like a beer league guy.
I know.
And then he shows up to the concert and he's like, oh, shoot.
Yeah, I mean, none of those guys had seen me on stage, you know, and a bunch of the boys came out to our show in Seattle and they were just like, what? They know me as like, you know, I'm a third line grinder in beer league, you know, not like on stage, like sending it. Yeah. So they stage dove and they got the full experience, you know. And my buddy Reed, he's like, that's the best night of my life. He's like, that's the best concert I've ever been to, ever. He's like, I've been to like stadium shows. He's like, that was the best. Because like that's kind of what we try to provide. Like I was saying with the Blink thing and bringing it back to that is I want people to leave and be like, that was the best night of my life. You know, whether there's 500 people or 5,000 people, we just want it to be a party and everyone to leave with that in mind is like, I'll never forget that show. So.
Oh, you don't drink alcohol, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
And I knew this. And one of the questions, and honestly, I'm just thinking about because like that whole life, obviously, with being a musician and, you know, like after parties or whatever, all these things that we think that goes on behind the scenes, because, you know, you TV shows, movies, whatever the hell. But I'm sure it probably is prominent, you know what I mean? Like drinking and partying and after and stuff like that. How did you stay away from it? Did you you've never drank alcohol before and things like that? Like just decided to stay away from alcohol and drugs and stuff like that?
Yeah. At a young age, you know, I feel like my group of friends, when we were so young, and they started smoking cigarettes in 5th grade or something like that. Like we were so young, yeah, or like 6th grade, because they all had older brothers and stuff. So they would get cigarettes, and then they started smoking weed. And I remember being like, "This isn't right." I'm like, yo, like we shouldn't be doing this. So I had like a conscience of like, you know, drugs are bad and like you shouldn't be doing this kind of stuff. And then when I discovered there's a band called Minor Threat, and they're a straight edge band, and but they're very aggressive music, and it was like hardcore punk rock, but none of them drank, they didn't do drugs, and they sort of preached that like this straight edge lifestyle. And I went, that's me. I fucking love to party, but I don't want to do drugs. I don't want to drink. I don't want to sort of fall into that, you know, that trap or whatever. Not saying like people can, you know, everyone that drinks is like, you know, I was just like, for me personally, you know, maybe I knew I had an addictive personality, so it's better to stop, you know, never to start. Yeah, so just finding out of the straight edge movement and the music that's involved with it, I went, okay, cool. I'm like part of this group. You know, it made me feel included. I didn't feel like I was like this outsider. I felt like, oh, I'm a part of this thing, and we're doing this thing for a positive reason. And yeah, I just kind of just went with it and decided to just not drink. And then it just became just second nature, right? It wasn't something I had to think about every day. It wasn't like, okay, don't drink today, you know, or like on tour, you know, like I just didn't do it. And I would be the guy that, you know, I saw a lot of people that would try to stop drinking, and then they would come to me and be like, yo, man, like, I'm not drinking, you know. I'm like, awesome, dude. Like, let me know if you need anything. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like,
if you want a Red Bull,
yeah,
I'll get you one.
But there's like, you know, trying to party without, you know, having to do any substance, you know. So it felt pretty cool, you know. Like when I have friends, like even Mike, you know, wasn't drinking for a couple months there, and he was asking me. And then I have a friend, his name's Taylor Felix Cartel. He's like a DJ, and the other day he goes, "Yo, I'm a year sober, man. Like, I just see how you have so much fun doing it." It kind of kept me motivated I'm like, dude, that's fucking awesome, man. So it's like, if I can have a bit of a positive effect on anybody, then, you know, it's a good thing.
Well, it's impressive too. Same with your musician lifestyle. So easy to start drinking and partying.
Yeah, like I said,
you're around it all the time, you know.
Yeah, I have an addictive personality, so coffee and you know, just treats. I like treats. Treats are good.
Do you feel like that's what kind of kept you going all those years too?
Yeah,
up until the I made it moment.
For sure. Yeah, like staying out. Like I said, I worked at a lot of bars. I was bar backing. I had alcohol around me at all times, and just drinking Red Bulls instead. And you know, people would offer me drinks, and
I'm sure the temptation's there. Like, oh, bro, just have one.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
In fact, there was like a little side story. Like there was a cook. I worked at it was called The Standard. It was on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. It was kind of this popular like hotel / diner, and then they would have like a pool where people would hang out and drink and stuff. And there was a cook there, and he would be like, he's a Hispanic cook, and he would speak to me in Spanish and stuff, and he would ask me he'd be like, my friend, some tequila. And I'm like, all right, bro. So I would like pour, like, because the bartender wouldn't be around at the time, I would pour tequila like in a to-go cup and then put it in the window, and he's like, oh, and he would make me any dish I wanted for bringing it. So like it was always there. Like I could have been like just crushing tequilas on the daily, you know, but yeah, but it was a choice I made to like have like orange juice and a Red Bull instead. So, which is arguably maybe worse for you in the long run.
Yeah, maybe by the 6th Red Bull of the night, there's a bit of a disaster.
Yeah.
No, but think about that is sometimes when like say you were struggling when you first started out your first band, right? If you start drinking, sometimes you get so down on yourself, and then you rely on the liquor to you get off topic, unmotivated, right? And then you just go downhill, which happens to a lot of people too, right?
Yeah,
when you're sober, like you have no brain fog and you're just motivated. You still have the dream you're chasing after.
For sure, and I think it helped that I was a little bit older than the guys in my band too. Of like I felt like a bit more like I gotta make sure that these dudes are, you know, staying in line to a certain point. I mean, I was like a huge clown anyway, but still, like when we go party or whatever after a show, I felt like I was responsible for them. I'm like, okay, I gotta get everybody back to the bus. I gotta like be the one, like they love to party in Montreal, and so I was always driving us back across the border, you know, everyone be hammered in the van or whatever, and I'm like the only sober one who's like I got everyone's passports and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I'm in charge, you know. So you know, it helped me sort of like, you know, with that responsibility and realizing like, okay, I'm I got to make sure all the boys are safe, So I took on that responsibility.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's a great role model for your daughter as well. I mean, you can do all these things where typically you might think drugs, alcohol, whatever else, work at a bar and still enjoy yourself and have one hell of a time and stay sober and still have lots of fun with it.
Yeah, and she can make her own decisions. Obviously, when she gets older, I wouldn't, even like with the hockey thing, I don't want to push all the things that I like on her just because I like them, or anything like that. So my wife drinks and she loves having a great time and stuff. And she was raised like her parents are like German and like Austrian, like of that descent, to where their culture, they drink earlier, and it's natural. I think it's like in that case, it's probably more like, oh yeah, have a drink at like 15, like, oh, have some wine with dinner or whatever. And maybe that doesn't become substance abuse because it's not something they were held back from doing. And then all of a sudden when they had the chance, oh, I can drink now, I'm going to fucking drink. I think it's more like, it's around, it's available if you want it or not, and so then you make the choice, and you don't have to feel like, it's something that's like, I don't know, like this crazy thing to do when your parents aren't around, So it's a cultural thing. So she'll be raised like that. If she wants a sip of something or whatever, she can do that. If she doesn't, then she can look to me as like, I have a good time without drinking. You can too if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of lessons to be learned from there as well. Because even when you were explaining, when you went that little stretch, when you were practicing your singing, and, you're sucking and you're getting good, but there was probably a lot of days where maybe the other guys that were good at it, they were drinking and they were out for 3-4 days, and you're getting 1% better or just a little bit better each and every single day. Well, maybe they might have been going down because they're sacrificing a good time for their career and their skill, right? So that, I feel like you probably had a huge advantage on them. Even if let's take it back to Kobe, right? Your favorite player. He speaks a lot about when he came to the States, because he lived in Italy, right? He didn't have a lot of friends. He didn't go to parties. He just dribbled his basketball. He played, and then he didn't really explode onto the scene up until he got a little bit older, right? Like the sophomore, like the grade 11, grade 12, whatever the hell it was. And it's just those little things, right? So it's so easy to make excuses like, oh yeah, it's okay to have a good time, but okay, but are you having a good time every single weekend? Are you out till Wednesday? Like, you know what I mean? Like you're at 60% capacity till Wednesday. Got to be able to calculate those things. And some people do it naturally, such as yourself. But for some people, sometimes they don't. They might be thinking like, yeah, I'm getting a little bit of a head here. Then one weekend can take them 10 steps back, right?
For sure. And I noticed, people even younger than me burning out earlier, just because of maybe that, substance abuse or whatever, partying too hard and stuff like that. And you see them burn out, they get worse on stage. You're like, oh, that dude doesn't sound great, like, so yeah, definitely like gave me a bit of an advantage. Yeah.
Where was like the coolest place you ever played or like rocked out?
Oh man.
Do you have one?
There's been so many.
Or do you have like one or two memories? Like,
yeah, I mean, like going to Brazil is always like fucking insane because the fans are, they're super fans. Like they're super fans. Like they wait for you at the airport. They like wait for you at the venue early. And like I have a video on my Instagram, like it popped up the other day, and we pulled up in the van and they're pounding on the van. They're like, gah, 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 gah. I'm like, what is going on? Like, it's just us. Like it's nothing, So anytime we go to South America, you get this like special treatment of where you feel like a bit of a rock star, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool because you don't get that. We don't get that everywhere. Japan, the last time we went to Japan was probably one of the biggest headliners that we've done. Not the biggest show we played, but the biggest like headliner. And my wife got to come out, and that was like 9 years ago or something like that. And that was an amazing memory because she was there to witness us playing all the way over in Tokyo and have this like huge crowd and everyone singing our songs, and it just felt like, I'm like, I felt very proud of it. And then she was super proud of it, and she was like, I can't believe that. Like, she was kind of blown away. It was a little flex, I'm like, see, we got some fans too.
All over the world there.
Yeah, I'm pretty cool too.
Yeah. What's the biggest like crowd you played for? Do you have like a rough idea?
So we played in the Philippines, and it was a festival, and the promoter said there was like 19,000. So I don't know if that's a rough estimate. Well, and I think that might have been one of the biggest shows that we played.
It's Rogers Arena.
Yeah. It was like it was a soccer field out there. So it was like a little small soccer stadium kind of thing.
Small.
And well, you know, like soccer.
I know. I'm just messing.
Yeah. So it was like. I mean, it looked like 90,000. So, yeah. So it was the stage was set up to where there was catwalks down the sides and then one catwalk down the middle. So when we all ran out, my two guitar players ran down the sides and I ran down the middle, and it felt like just the biggest Rockstar moment of our life. And we're just like, yeah, it was a huge flex. Yeah. And then I jumped off, like there was a big tower, like a big metal tower that was sort of a little bit in the crowd, so I climbed up to and jumped off that into the crowd. No, like my tarp was off.
All this with no liquor, right?
Yeah. No liquor.
Give you the props
no
there.
Tarp. Yeah, no nothing.
The adrenaline, right? Just keep it going.
It was in that tour specifically, we called it Hell Week, because it was like, so that, you know, every show in Southeast Asia, it's like back to back to back to back, and you fly to every country and you get no sleep. And so you sleep a little bit at the airport, you get to the city, you drive to the venue, you do your sound check, and then you sleep maybe a couple hours, you play your show, maybe sleep another 2 hours, straight to the airport, do it again. And so it was called Hell Week, and it was like, we ended in like Thailand or something like that. And I remember I didn't sleep that night because I actually did a podcast with a good friend of mine. It's called Heart Support, and he was just getting it off the ground, and he was like, dude, it would mean a lot if you did this. I'm like, fuck it, I just won't sleep. Like neither of us slept. We just sat in his hotel room and did this podcast. And yeah, so that was that show was part of like just the craziest week of our lives, of like no sleeping, flying to all these crazy countries and playing all these cool shows. So yeah, it was pretty sweet.
Do you have a venue or a stadium or a city that you haven't played yet? That's on the list?
Oh, yeah. Shoot, I haven't even thought about that. Probably, I would love to, what haven't we done? We've gone everywhere. So it's hard to like, we haven't gone to like Antarctica or South Africa. So somewhere, you know, like playing like in like Johannesburg would be kind of cool, or something like that. Like South Africa would be kind of sick. It's a little like, I know people that have been there and it's been a little dodgy, you know, but it, you know, not taking anything, don't want to like badmouth the country or something, but they've just, they were like, oh, it was a little sketchy, you know, it was like, so yeah, you get those spots. So yeah, Africa, playing anywhere in Africa would be a continent that we haven't hit yet. So
do you have a message for any aspiring musicians, artists out there, anyone just honestly just trying to do something with their life?
I would say just go with your gut, go with your whatever your heart is telling you to do is probably what you should be doing. So don't dismiss those feelings of, you know, when you get those passionate, you know, drives to do something, whether it's opening a supplement store, starting a band, you know, even if you suck at it, you know, you gotta just put one foot in front of the other and keep grinding and go for it and dive in. Don't dip your toe in, you know, if there's something that you want to do, just go for it, you know, dive all the way in and grind it out.
Okay, yeah, so how we end all these podcasts, Beau, we do the same thing. We get our guests to pick up product. And since you love our smoothies, we're going to get you to pretty much pick ISO Advanced, which we use in all of our smoothies. Okay. It's going to be code. What code would you use?
You could just use the code ROCKET. Yeah. 99.
Rocket 99.
I think we're gonna have to make a rocket smoothie.
Yeah, well, down the road for sure.
Let her pick the flavors. Yeah.
I think we'll have. Why don't we get some content? Let's see what she picks out, and we'll make it.
Yeah.
Let's see what comes of it.
Let's do it.
So all ISO Advanced will be 15% off for the next 3 weeks here with code Rocket 99 online.
And that's at www.supplementhouse.ca. You can order right to your doorstep, guys.
Sweet.
And Beau, thanks for coming on. We
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
so much,
Thank you
Beau.
so much.
Appreciate it, brother.
Awesome, guys. Appreciate you guys listening. Don't forget to subscribe. If you want to check out Beau's social media,
Golden Hearts Media. Golden Hearts Limited is my t-shirt line. Beau Bokan's the Instagram. Beau Knows is the Twitter. So
yeah, no, check out Beau, guys. Yeah, check out Beau. He's hella talented, especially when it comes to just pumping out content. So 100%. Thanks for coming on, Beau, and be good, guys.